Welcome to the Rise to the Challenge podcast. Join me today. She's a pop country recording artist, songwriter, and the creator of the Diva Music Group. It's Ashlie Amber. How are you doing today, Ashlie?
Hello. I'm doing very well. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me today.
We're so excited to have you on the show to talk about your Rise to the Challenge. What we like to do with all of our guests is go right to the beginning. Talk about where you're from and what were you involved in growing up?
Well, I'm from Norton, Colorado, which is just outside of Denver. And I kind of had a very eclectic childhood, I guess a mix of everything. I grew up playing lots of sports. I played volleyball, basketball, soccer, softball. We were very much a sports family. We listened to a wide range of music because my dad and mom liked a lot of soul and a lot of those old school, like Earth, Wind and Fire and like the Isley Brothers, that kind of vibe. And then my older brother liked a lot of hip hop, and my sister listened to a lot of R&B, pop, and country. So like I was very eclectic in music, and I did choir. I mean, I was a choir geek. I mean, I even went to all-state choir, like all the things. So that was kind of my life, and music really, kind of took main focus in my life right about when I was in middle school. But in high school, I was like, no, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. So it's definitely been my direction for a long time. And even since then, that direction has been, again, very eclectic. I don't have the traditional background.
Was your family always looking at things that everyone in the family can get along together with or utilize together? Like you talked about being a sports family, music, even though each family member had a different sport or maybe a different music topic, it was a way to get everyone together and bond over something.
Absolutely. Soccer was a really big thing in our household, and all four of us played it competitively. Three of the four of us played it in high school. So like I started playing soccer when I was 4. So as a family, like everybody would come to like my games. And then of course, like being, the baby, my twin brother and I, we were the babies. So we would always have to go to like my older brother and my older sister's soccer games. And then we did this huge thing every year, 3v3, which is 3-on-3 soccer tournaments, which is a blast. If anybody out there plays soccer and has never been in a 3v3 soccer tournament, I definitely recommend that. And we actually used to travel all over the US to play that. So we would travel, we would go to nationals and regionals and then nationals. So we've been to Disney World and, all over, other states like Wyoming and all that stuff to play soccer as well. So yeah, we were definitely active in that, and we definitely did that as a family.
What is something that sports taught you about yourself?
That I am very competitive. Extremely competitive. I think that's where I get my competitive nature from. But sports also taught me that I do like structure, and I do like discipline, even though sometimes I can be that. I was definitely that kid that was like, don't tell me what to do. But at the same time, I was like, tell me what to do. So yeah, that's kind of what I learned the most. But I would probably say, I guess the biggest is definitely my competitive nature. I'm very competitive.
I think a lot of kids can relate to having that discipline style or saying, oh, don't tell me what to do. But we kind of in our minds want to be told what we're due because it's like,
Yes.
oh, I can get away with that. But then it's like, no, I don't want to get away with it. I don't want to get in trouble in that kind. But I think as we get older, we kind of look back at those times where we're like, I'm glad it happened that way because it's taught me something in the real world or being by ourselves that you kind of have to have that structure in a way.
Yes, exactly. So it's definitely something that I loved, and that's why I continue to, even though I loved music, I continued to play sports all the way through until I graduated high school.
You talked about how sports and music played a big role in your life. Did you have any inspirations in the music world that you kind of were like, I idolize these people or these artists, and if I went in that direction, I want to kind of follow in those footsteps, or were you trying to create something on your own?
I mean, I think naturally as artists and as especially as kids, there's always, one or two people that we idolize and like, oh my gosh, she's amazing or he's amazing, and we want to follow in those footsteps. So I would say early on that one of my biggest influences, which has nothing to do with country, but definitely more on the pop side, which is Whitney Houston. I think for a lot of girls who look like me, and just a lot of girls in general, like anybody who just sang, like Whitney was, I mean, arguably the greatest singer of all time. I mean, it just depends on who you ask. Like, don't worry, guys, there's other amazing singers out there too, but she's definitely one of them that is mentioned quite often. And so I think for somebody like me, in the area that I grew up in the suburbs, so we were the only Black family. So when I discovered Whitney, I was like, wait a second, what? I was like, we can be pop icons too. Like, this is amazing. And yeah, so she's definitely somebody who I idolize. And then of course, the older you get introduced to so many different styles of music again, and you also get to, you kind of research the artists that you idolize, and you get to learn more about them, and you get to find out things behind the scenes. So like now, obviously I love Whitney and what she did, but as far as like business wise now, like I'm really inspired by artists like Taylor Swift and Beyonce and Dolly Parton and even, I mean, there's so many, but those women are not only incredible performers and singers and like songwriters, but they're also incredible business women.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely love the business side of this thing we call showbiz. And I love it just as much as, being in the front and singing and writing and all that stuff. I love what happens on the back end, how all these things have to come to play in order for artists to even be successful, like on radio and things like that. So
I love that you talked about the business side, because all those people that you mentioned, they're building a brand with just their name and like what they view and they value, and that's how they're really connecting with their audience and their fan base, is because of their brand identity. And they're doing such an amazing job with that, and it's just awesome that they're kind of introducing and inspiring so many up and coming artists that this is something that you can do besides music, but you can also build in other areas.
exactly. And I think that's so important because, the music business is a very hard industry to be successful in. And just being a singer alone or just recordings alone, it isn't enough anymore, because there's so many pieces to the pie, and the industry is quite saturated with so much
Mm-hmm.
incredible talent. I mean, I think there's a statistic like there's 40,000 new songs a day that are uploaded to Spotify. There's just like so much music out there. So you have to be smart, and you have to learn to diversify and to generate multiple streams of income within your brand. So your brand can't just be like, hey, I'm a singer. Your
Mm-hmm.
brand has to be like, hey, I'm a singer, I'm an actress, I'm a model, I have my own clothing line, or, I started a foundation, or, there's so many other things on the back end that you can be involved in. And it's not just that, it's also like holding on to your intellectual properties. That's one of the reasons why I like Taylor Swift so much, because she's a really big advocate for artists retaining their intellectual properties, artists retaining their masters and more of their publishing and more of these things, which is things that people don't talk about. And artists are not very well educated on, because let's be honest, a lot of artists don't actually go to school to be an artist. It's based off talent, not knowledge. And so these are things that you learn, and by idolizing those women, these are things that I've learned along the way, and these are the things that I advocate for and I fight for. And it can be quite difficult sometimes, because other businesses and stuff will be like, hey, wait a second, like, why are you questioning? We're not used to getting questioned, like, hold on a second. And it's really important, again, for to know that. And that's why I always say follow T Swift, follow Beyonce, follow Dolly Parton, because she's a huge one. I think it was, what was it, Elvis that wanted to buy all the rights to I Will Always Love You, and she was like, no. And then look, it ended up becoming one of the longest running singles of all time, and has been one of her defining moments in her career as a songwriter.
When you were doing choir, did you kind of find that passion where I could see this as a career choice, or was it just a way to kind of still build off the love for music that you had?
When I was in choir, I just thought it was fun, and it was a great way to make friends, and we got to sing fun songs, and I got to explore my talent. But I think I mean, I started choir when I was in elementary school, like in third or fourth grade. So
Mhm.
I was just doing it because I was good at it. Like I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. It wasn't until like I said, like I got to high school when I was like, oh no, like singing is what I want to do. But even then, choir is very different than the pop world because it's a lot of jazz choirs or a lot of chamber choirs. So you're singing a completely different style of music than, what I'm singing now.
Did you have a favorite choir song that you sang?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. I don't even know anymore. Like all the songs, we used to do so many. I do remember my first solo ever, which
Ooh.
was in fourth grade, and it was the easiest solo ever. I don't even know if you could really call it a solo, but it was a solo. And fourth graders typically didn't get solos. It was usually like the fifth graders that got the solo. So I was like really excited that I got the solo, and it was just Nine Sleeps Tonight, and all I did was go, we will boy. Like that's literally all I did. Yeah.
Hey, you got to be in the
Yeah.
spotlight.
Hey, I did. I got the solo mic and everything, and I got to do it a couple times. But yeah, that was kind of my first moment of, hey, like, look at me.
We always get that question, what was that dream job? And I kind of asked if music was that as you were doing choir and being in music industry. Did you have any other plans or any other ideas of which direction you wanted to go to? Or did you kind of were so focused on what you wanted to do and you were going to follow in any path to get there?
I think when I was like in middle school, I was still really unsure. I was like, maybe I want to be a professional soccer player, or maybe I want to go to high school for or college for volleyball, or at one point I even entertained the idea of like maybe going into the medical field and like being a nurse or something like that. But then I got to high school and music, I mean, by the time I got to my senior year, I think I had like 4 choir classes by that time, and I didn't want to do anything else. I was legit the kid like in math class. The teacher would be like, "Hey, Ashlie Amber, you need to, work on this, and this." And I'm just like, yeah, I don't need this class to be famous. Like, wait, why do I need to know math to be a singer? I'm confused. So by the time I got to high school, there's nothing else that I wanted to do. And I think that, yeah, like at that point, I was like, listening to Beyonce and wanting to be like, the next Beyonce. And yeah, I even said back then, I was like, I'm gonna be the Beyonce of country. Yeah, that's kind of where that all started.
Did your family support the idea that you wanted to go into the music industry?
Oh yeah, my family was very supportive. My mom in particular. Honestly, I don't know how she did it, but there are so many times where I don't know. I guess it's still kind of a thing now, but people are a lot more educated on it. But remember those commercials that would be like, if your kid is talented, they can get on Disney and they can get on this and
Yep.
blah blah blah. And you would go to these talent agencies and they would audition you, but then you would have to pay like thousands of dollars to go to these like conferences and like get these headshots, and nothing would ever really come of it. She was that mom. Like my mom was the mom that somehow figured how to pay that. I was like, Mom, they want me to go to Hollywood. And she's like, all right, let's go. So she was always very supportive. And I mean, all of my shows and stuff, she's come to my shows. I think one show of mine, she came 15 times, I think, one of my shows. Yeah. So she's very, very supportive.
So after high school, what was next for you?
After high school, I was signed to an independent label when I at 19. So that was basically just right after high school. And I didn't go to college. I didn't apply to a single college. College was not what I wanted to do. I wasn't the biggest fan of school. I got good grades, but it's just not what I wanted to do. I wanted to perform. And so I was signed to an independent label, but I was kind of doing music that I didn't want to. And I kind of took a step back. And I ended up, walking away from that and just taking some time to figure some stuff out. And I met a really good friend while I was waiting tables. I waited tables for a long time, a decade of my life. I won't say how old I am, but I started young. I was in high school when I started being a server. And I was waiting tables and I was singing to some guests. I would sing them like happy birthday or something like that. And there was a new girl that had just started. She had just moved from Utah, and she was a pianist and like a music director. And she had just moved here, and she'd only, I think, after we met, she'd only probably stayed at that job for maybe 6 months because she was just building up her, pianos, her clients, and then, waiting to hear back from some jobs. So she wasn't there for very long, but she was like, hey, I hear you sing. And I was like, yeah, I do this. And she's like, why don't you come over for a jam session? And I was like, okay. And she played. I brought some music over and she played, and I sang I Am Changing from Dreamgirls. And she was like, holy crap. She's like, you can sing. And I was like, thank you. And she's like, what are you doing? Like waiting tables. And I was like, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. Like people keep telling me I can't do this. So I just don't know anymore. And she started my journey in musical theater. And that's kind of where I feel like my real musical journey started, because I was exposed to something in a completely different world that I had no idea that paid. Like I didn't know you could make money to, dress in costumes and, do these shows in my local area of Denver. I didn't even know it was a possibility. But once I started that, it then kind of just led me to all these other amazing opportunities, which has, led me to where I am right now, and which is doing pop country, in Nashville. And I'm just really excited for the journey. It's kind of like I said, very crazy how I got back to here.
You talked about when you signed with that first independent label that it wasn't the direction that you wanted to go in. Was it hard doing something that you were maybe not wanting to do, or did it kind of lose that passion in you and that's how you had to step away because you had to like regenerate that passion, that fire in the music industry that you loved?
Yeah, it was the thing is I'm a person, I've always just been a person that loves to sing. I think deep down in the core, most artists, we just love to sing and we love to perform, and we love that opportunity to connect with people, because the way I look at music and performance and is, we offer an escape for our audiences, like an escape from reality. So they could be having a bad day. They could have just lost a loved one. Like we have no clue what's going on in their lives. So when they come to see us, it's our job to entertain them and allow them to forget. So at the end of the day, that's what I really wanted to do. That's my craving. But when you're kind of forced into a genre of music that isn't really right for you vocally, and also you're only really being put there because of how you look, not because of like what you're actually passionate about, there's only so long you can be like, okay. Because, being a star, I think most of us don't come into this wanting to be a star. We realize that comes along with the job, right? Like we realize if, we're going to be a famous singer, like obviously we're going to be a star, but we really come into it because we just want to sing, and we just want to be able to share it with more than just 5 people. We want to share it with millions of people at a time, which then turns into a stardom and turns into sometimes a lot of complications for artists depending on how young they are, or how well they can handle all of that pressure. And so I just got to a point where like even though I kind of had all this opportunity and potentially these promises, it's just not what I wanted to do. And I never wanted to be that artist that like quote unquote sold out, which I don't like it when people say that, because you can't say somebody who's mainstream has sold out. Like they just figured out a way to be successful to the masses. Right. But like, I didn't want to be that person that was only doing it just because of what it could lead to. Right.
You talked about pop country. When you're creating music, songwriting, what's inspiring you to write these lyrics or coming up with the creative aspect of your songs?
Yeah, I just write what I know. I like a lot of my writing recently has a lot of pop culture references. And what I love about, the country side of it is country is a very literal genre of music. So you can you just talk about your day or talk about what you know, and that's what makes it so relatable. Sometimes in music you have no clue what the artist is talking about. Like, I feel like most people probably don't know what The Show Must Go On is about from, from Queen. Most
Mhm.
people don't know what that song is about, but that's actually him talking about dying of, of AIDS. And so when you really think about that, you're like, oh, whoa, like this is really deep. Whereas like country music, you're like, no, it's talking about a girl. Like,
Yep.
they're they're at a party, or he fell in love with her, his high school sweetheart. It's very easy to understand and to relate to the lyrics. And so I like to write from that perspective. I like to write about things that I feel majority of people can relate to, because I'm just a regular person just like them.
Well, I love that you talked about the behind meaning of songs. And I think that to me, that's the interesting part. Like, what made them get inspired to write these songs? And I use the example because I just saw the music video, but Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats music video, where
Yeah.
slash in a tire, like you can kind of understand what she's talking about in that song.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
video does a great job at showing that. But so many people, and you just see in the comments that are like, oh, I've been in this situation. They can connect with her with those lyrics. Do you get
Yeah.
that kind of reaction where people can connect to your lyrics, or it kind of reminds them of a certain thing that they went through?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I write very fun lyrics. I'm not an over, don't get me wrong, I do have some deeper songs and
Yeah.
some deeper meaning songs. It's just, I think as an artist, it's important to, um, be strategic on how you release music, and also like maybe what your competition is doing. Like if you have another artist that is a really strong message writer, another artist that's really strong like sassy writer, you kind of want to find like your own niche in there. So I would say that, yeah, like my song Those Nights, it's about, having fun all night with your loved one. And I think any mature audience, who's had, been in a relationship where it's like super hot and heavy, and you're just engulfed in this new relationship. I think majority of people can relate to at least one experience of like, yeah, we were doing shots till 2 a.m. and that turned into some other stuff until like 5, 6 a.m. And then we chatted and we left. And then I think we fell asleep at like 8 a.m. Like I think a lot of people can relate to that particular topic.
So I was able to watch one of your music video, your most recent single, Runnin, and just the visuals is just stunning. And you talked about earlier about you just enjoy singing, and just watching that video, I can tell that you enjoy singing. Talk about creating that music video and creating that song. What was the meaning behind it, and what was it all about?
Yeah, so that song was about a relationship that I had in Colorado. We dated for a really long time. And I also, my background, I've been to 72 countries performing. And so I've spent a lot of time on red eye flights, and a lot of time away, and a lot of time being like, okay, I've been gone for 2 months, but I'm coming home for 24 hours just to see you. And then I'm heading back out on the road again. And so that's kind of what that song was inspired by. It was inspired by this incredible relationship. And even though we're not together anymore, we still wish each other well. It's just, I'm off doing my thing, and he wanted to stay in Colorado to do his thing. And, you just have to respect that. And the music video, I just wanted it to be quirky. I feel like, the with a few music videos that I have right now, they kind of show a different side of my personality. And I think because of my look and because of my Instagram, people can often come to conclusions of what my personality might be like. And don't get me wrong, I can be sassy, I can be, I can be very business, and, like get right to the point, like when I need to, but I'm also very like quirky and just very fun and just relaxed. And I just wanted to show my fun side. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm a huge action movie fan. And I just kind of wanted to geek out and like feel like a superhero. So I was
I
just
was about to
like,
say the
yeah.
superhero part, I could tell because I think one part of it, you're like, it looked like you're jumping off the airplane and you're just like flying in the air. And I'm like, oh, that had to be so much fun to do during like taping of it.
Yeah, we did that whole thing on green screen. Like none of it was done on anything but a green screen. The entire video was done on green screen, except for like some of those close-up shots. But like yeah, I literally got to like hang around in the air like on a harness, which actually is not that fun. It's not that comfortable. I have a whole new respect for Scarlett Johansson and all of the people in the Avengers for all of those harnesses that they wear and they fly, and it's pretty crazy, but so much fun, and it's really cool to see how it all comes together in the end. It's really fun.
Do you play a big role behind the scenes when creating like that video? Like, are you working with the director, producers, all those people to make sure that your concept and vision come out when the music video comes out? So when people see it, they're kind of knowing what you are wanting to create there.
Yeah, absolutely. I play a huge part in everything. There's not a single thing that goes out that I haven't like been like, this is what I want. I'm very much a very hands-on artist, and sometimes that can be hard because it's really hard to juggle so many things,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of want to let things go. But I've learned that it's better to just be like, hey, like this is what I envisioned, this is what I want, because at the end of the day I'm the one that really has to live with it, because
Yep.
it's my face on the screen, or it's my photo that's being posted, or it's my voice that's being put out on record. So I've learned, and I've made some mistakes along the way, but I've definitely learned the more and more I've more and more I've become successful, in this new side of things of my career, to just be like, hey, this is what I want. So I tell them, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I want, and these are the like my ideal shots, like that I think would be really cool. And then beyond that, like, take her away. So I'll be very specific with the things I want, and then I'll let them like go do their thing. And then even the editing process, like I'll let them edit it, and then they'll send me like a rough, and I'll be like, okay, this is great, but can we switch out this shot for this shot? Or did we get another version of this shot because I really like this shot, but my arm looks weird, or this looks funny, or my hair clip fell out, so my mohawk is kind of messed up. So so yeah, I do play a lot of that, but yeah, so I would say it's pretty collaborative, but definitely me being like, hey, this is what I see for this. Yeah.
Are you always working on that next song, or do you do it in like sessions where you work on maybe a few songs, take a break to regenerate energy, and then you start the next group of songs? Or how does that look for you?
I would say it's that second one. I would say I probably do like a group of songs, and then I'll kind of step away, and then like I'll come back, and then I'll work on a group of songs again. I think every situation is different, and every time you work with a different producer, it's different. And I think it depends on the project. Like if I'm just wanting to release a Christmas single, I'm only focusing on that one song,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not ready to release, an entire EP or, whatever. I just want to focus on that one song. But if I'm focusing on an entire EP, like it's a collective body of work. So we're focusing on, 5-6 songs out of maybe like 10 or 15, that we really, really like. And we're narrowing it down to like, okay, these are the 5 best songs that we have. So, let's focus on these and then go from there. So I think it depends. It depends on the project.
When you mean EP, it's not like an album, or it's more
Yeah.
like just like singles in a way, but a small amount.
Yeah. So like an EP is it's just a short, it's like a half album, you can call it that. And a lot of times now new artists are doing EPs instead of full length albums, because full length albums are very expensive. And also streaming has changed the game. So you can't just release an album once a year and be like, yay, my streams are going to be awesome. Nobody cares anymore. People want new singles like every 2 months, like every 8 to 12 weeks. They want a new song. And so you have to keep your audience engaged. So that's why EPs are a little easier, because you can still present a body of work, and then you can, release a song, and then release a second song, release the EP, and then you still get a little bit of life after that, to present like, hey, this is who I am. this is where I was at in this point of my life to present this body of work to you. Yeah.
When I was learning more about you, you love talking about country Vogue. What
Yes.
does that mean to you?
I've Country Vogue is very much a lifestyle. And I didn't create Country Vogue. I just kind of put a name to it. I think the pioneer of Country Vogue would be Shania Twain. I'm a huge Shania Twain fan. And I feel like we have a lot of similarities. You know, when Shania hit the sweet scene, she's pop country, you know, Shania. And she got a lot of backlash for that. She got a lot of backlash because her audiences were beyond just the typical country music audience. They were people that listened to, you know, In Vogue and, you know, Eminem and, you know, NSYNC and Britney Spears. Like, they were an audience that listened to everything. And it was artists like, you know, Shania Twain, which is why I fell in love with country music, is because, you know, back in the day, country music, you know, like when you're in school, it's like everybody listens to like hip hop or like what's on it because this is cool. But you know, artists like her made it really cool. And then you fall in love with her, and it's kind of like a gateway. It's like a gateway to discovering other music and other artists in the genre. And so she just came in with her, you know, her pop lyrics and her, you know, pop, you know, arrangements. And she also came in with this really edgy image. She was wearing thigh-high boots. She was showing some legs. She was showing some midriff. Like, she was objectifying men in music videos, and not, you know, where men are constantly objectifying women. She was like, whatever, I'm going to surround myself with a bunch of guys and I'm going to objectify them. And so she kind of, you know, she was the pioneer of it. And so that's kind of, that's how I see myself. I'm definitely edgy. I'm not, you know, the typical, you know, the country artist look. I'm definitely not very conservative when it comes to my dress and when it comes to like my social media and stuff like that. I try not to be provocative or distasteful, but I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my body. I'm proud of my curves. And I think it's important that we are able to celebrate that in a tasteful way. And so, so Country Vogue is just about fashion and being sassy and fabulous and being unapologetically yourself. So,
with working with Country Vogue or going into that lifestyle, do you think it helps your fan base understand the real who you are and understand your brand and the kind of the meaning behind it?
absolutely. When I released my first single into Nashville, I was getting some pushback, and the pushback was, we're not traditional country, and that sometimes still people say that, and I'm like, I know, like clearly I'm not traditional country. Like, regardless of what my music sounds like, if you just go based off a visual, I'm not your typical country artist. And so I was like, why do people keep saying this? Like, why can't they understand that? Yeah, I'm not. And so I was like, well, you're right. You are 100% right. I am not traditional country. I'm Country Vogue. I am I am my own unique thing, and I'm going to stick to that lane, and I'm not going to conform to what you think you know, country music should be. And I'm also bringing a different element. I'm bringing a pop element. I bring in some R&B. Some of the new music that we got going on is bringing in a ton of swag, like what the guys get to do, like what Nico Moon gets to do, and you know what Sam Hunt gets to do, and Kane Brown. Like, I'm like, why do the guys get to have all the fun? Like, this isn't fair. The ladies need to have fun too. So I'm definitely very passionate about it.
I love that you mentioned being unique and not letting other people's viewpoint deteriorate from what you want to do, because I think there's so much of that going on, especially with the social media age, where people's comments change how someone might feel or act or what they do online. And I kind of do the same thing. I'm doing my way, or the way I want to do things my own way. I'm not going to let someone tell me how I should run my show. It's what I want to do. And I love that you stand behind everything that you do, because it makes your fans and people like me become a fan of you because of what you do every day with your image and your lifestyle. So it's amazing, because you're going to inspire so many people with how you live your life, and not let these people stop you from living your dream.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's very sweet of you. And that's all I want to do. I think, I grew up with people loving to tell me what I can and can't do. And even still to this day, like you said, social media, I actually just wrote a song about this that I'm pretty sure we're going to cut and put on my debut EP. But we wrote a line, me and my co-writer, that's why can't I can't even think of it. I'm drawing a blank now. They're words that the words that they're using to define me make it hard to find me. And I think on social media, just like you said, because there are so many comments and so many people have an opinion about who you are and what you do, it can be hard to know who you are, because you can be like, oh, am I this way? Like,
Yep.
Oh, everybody keeps saying this, or am I doing this? Is this too provocative? Is this way? And it can be really hard to be like, no. This is me. And I just think it's important that more artists advocate for that and advocate for themselves, and not let, these big, gatekeepers, tell them what they can and can't do when they're not the ones in the trenches. We're the ones in the trenches, and we know how people respond to us. And that's what the most important thing is.
Talk about being featured in big publications like Forbes, CMT, and all of that. When you found out that this was happening, what was going through your mind? And do you feel that you're on that right track in what you're creating?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little surreal. Like, even seeing the blue check mark next to my name, like, I'm like, is that real? Like, because again, there's just this idea of, the industry and success and all of these things. And you see, the Kane Browns and the Gabby Barretts and, the Tenille Arts and all these people being featured in these publications. And here I am like, hey guys, what's going on? And, it's just crazy. And sometimes sometimes it's not even the big publications that are crazy. Sometimes it's a smaller, and it's actually not a small publication. It's very big in Nashville and in country music. But when Taste of Country named those nights best baby making song, I was like, okay, thank you. Best baby making song. Like, all right. But I was also on the same list as, Carly Pierce and as, Willie Jones and these other all these artists that are affiliated with major labels or big, independent labels. And, here I am, like this 100% independent artist being like, hey guys, best baby making song over here. Hey. And it's moments like that are really surreal, because I'm like, yo, people are seeing me, like the industry is seeing me, because they put me on the same list as these people. And I think that's what's so exciting. And I just can't wait to keep, breaking more boundaries and, just shatter that, that glass ceiling.
Imagine putting that on your resume. Oh, I was voted best baby making song ever.
I say that all the time. I'll be like, hey guys, so this next song I'm gonna share with you guys, it was just voted best baby making song. So I hope y'all go home and make some babies after this. Like, I just make it a joke.
Do you feel that, do you ever see yourself on like a big stage, or do you have that dream stage that you hope to perform on one day?
I have so many.
That's understandable.
I think it's hard to say, because of course I can't wait to make my debut at the Ryman, or at the Opry, or get to perform at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
and the Grammys, and the CMA Awards and the ACM Awards. I mean, there's so many things. I even have dreams of going back home and getting to play an arena show in my hometown. Like, how cool would it get to be if I'm at like the Pepsi Center, in Colorado? Like, come on. Even Red Rocks, in Colorado, or any one of those venues. I feel like it's just an honor to play. And when thousands of people are coming out to see you, honestly, it doesn't matter where it is. I'm just happy that I just get to have that opportunity. And this is what I get to call life. For me, it's pretty surreal. Yeah.
Is there anything that you would change on your journey to get to where you are that you would have done differently? Or do you feel that every step you've taken has gotten you to where you are and you've learned so much about yourself throughout that journey?
Um, Definitely everything I've ever gone through has been for a reason. And that's hard because I'm a little bit older. I'm not old by any means, but some of the other artists that like I guess you can say we're competing, even though again I hate that term because there's so much room for all of us
Oh, yeah.
to be successful. But I'm like, man, I was like, these girls are like 22 and 23. Oh my gosh. Like, but at the same time, when I was 22 or 23, I wasn't ready for what I'm stepping into right now. And I think everything happens for a reason. And I had to experience these things. And again, I've gotten to travel 72 countries. I've been headlining in front of hundreds of thousands of people every year. For the past few years, I headline my own show. I work with incredible musicians. I know what to ask for sound. I know how to work a crowd, and crowds that are extremely difficult to work. Like I'm like, this crowd did not pay to see me. Like I don't even know if they want to be here, but I'm gonna make them want to be here. And that's a hard thing to do because when you have a crowd that's paying to see you, you can basically like burp the ABCs on key, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, we love you so much." And so I've gotten to learn those really valuable skills, and I've had to do shows where I've had tonsillitis and I can barely talk, but I still have to get through it. And I've done those shows where I've lost my voice in the middle of a show, and I'm like, how do I modify on the fly? And not I don't have auto tune, like I don't have pre-recorded tracks, like I just have to figure it out. And it forces you to become not. It's not even about the music at that point, because right, like once you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, guys, we get it, we all can sing. But you really have to learn how to become an entertainer at that point, and how to not just rely on your voice, because sometimes your voice might not show up, and you have to rely on your people skills and how you talk to the crowd and how you work the crowd and your showmanship. And those are a lot of the things that if I were 23 and just kind of jumped in, I wouldn't have been like, I wouldn't know, but I know them now. And because times have changed and conversations have changed and recent movements have sparked back up. Back then when I was 23, I probably wouldn't have this opportunity that I have now, because Nashville wasn't ready for it then. They're still not even really ready for it now, but they just kind of have no choice because we're just like, we're here and we have infiltrated, and I'm like, y'all can't get rid of us now. Like we're here. And so again, like you said, everything happens for a reason, and I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
What would you say to someone that's up and coming and wants to get into the music industry to kind of follow their dreams to get to where they are wanting to go?
I would say, I always wonder, do I go fun with this or do I go like serious with this?
It depends on the person listening.
Right. I would say that like on the serious side of things, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who truly care about your best interest. This industry can be very selfish, and it can really bring out a really dark side of people that they're quite good at hiding. But maybe in a contract or something, you're like, wait a second, you said this, but like this totally says this, like how is that okay? And so I would say just be smart in who you're surrounding yourself with and who you're letting get a piece of your pie, as I would say. And I would definitely say never sign anything without an attorney. And I think all young artists, we make those mistakes, so it's good to learn from them. But once you've learned that, don't do it again. Just like figure out how to pay for an attorney and budget that into your artist budget, because it's extremely important. And then on the fun side, I would just say that it's just fun. Like, music is fun. Like I said earlier, we get to offer an escape. So the more fun we have on stage, the more fun we have doing what we're doing. And the more we show that to our fans and our audience, the more fun they're going to have listening to our music and coming to our shows, and just feel like they're being a part of our crazy lives. But I would just say have fun, and to just always lead with love, work hard, and there's really nothing you can't achieve. If you're talented and you work hard and you're coming from the right place, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if.
I love each aspect of that because it fits not just the music industry, but in any industry that you're in. All those tools people can utilize and I think a lot of people don't get that is, well, that's only just for music, but you can still take the same concept and utilize it in the business world because, like you said, the contracts, because we all are signing contracts. It's a house. It could be for an employment. It could be for a car, anything. And you have to make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into.
Absolutely. Having the facts is important. And I'm very much a facts girl. And I don't like being misled. I don't like it when, you sign a contract and then you find out that, like, wait a second, again, this is complete opposite of what I expected. And I'm thankful for those experiences though, because if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be able to speak on it. But at the same time, like, I just hope that we get to a point in the industry, especially the music industry, where artists stop getting taken advantage of, that they are educated enough coming in out of the gate to know, like, no, I'm not going to sign this, or no, you're not entitled to that. You're not entitled to this. Like, this is what you're entitled to. And I'm super happy to give you this. But beyond this, like, if I keep giving you guys all my money, like, I'm going to be like TLC and have the most successful group album, of that time, and only walk away with $60,000 a piece. Like, that's not okay. So
what does the future look like for you? What are you hoping to accomplish in the next few years, personally and professionally?
Well, oh gosh, these questions, there's just so many things. Personally, I'm going to be moving to Nashville. I'm very excited. I just got under contract for a house there. So, I'm in the process of selling my home in Las Vegas and moving to Nashville. So I'm definitely excited for that. That was definitely a big goal that I had. And coming off of COVID, that was not an easy task, since artists, we make majority of our income from performing. And we're only just now getting back to it. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And, I'm going to be releasing my first EP, my debut EP. I have a whole new sound that's coming up. It's still me, but it's the sound that's kind of been in my head for the past 2 years, and just been waiting for the right producer to help bring it alive. And you're going to be seeing me, at some of the award shows. You're going to be seeing me at, some of these festivals. I mean, we have a really big calendar planned next year and a massive rollout of really awesome stuff. And I have a fashion line that I've been working on, a boot line that I have written a bunch of ideas down as well. So lots of really, really big things in my future on that side. And then personally, who knows, maybe I'll get engaged or, get married in the next couple of years. And really a lot of it, I just want to be able to take care of my family and set my family up for success too. And just be a good role model for my niece and my 2 nephews, and, show them that, like, hey, you can do anything you want. And if you put your mind to it, and it's never, ever too late to follow your dreams. So those are my big things on the docket.
The final question I'll ask you, for someone that's listening to this interview based on your journey and experience, what tips or advice would you give them to overcome obstacles, accomplish their goals, and rise to the challenge?
Never quit. And try to look at things from a different perspective. Sometimes if it's not working one way, that doesn't mean you have to quit. It just means that maybe you just need a different approach, or you just need a fresh set of eyes. Never be too afraid to ask for help. People are here and they're put into our lives for a reason. And you have to absorb and kind of be like a sponge. The more you are like a sponge, the more you absorb the good things from people, and then use that to your benefit. I think that's really, really important. And also, so if anybody says something to you, like they're trying to bring you down or like rain on your parade, just tell them to fuck off. Like, that's probably some of the best advice.
I knew the direction you were going with that.
Yeah. I mean, because people will always have something to say. People will always think that maybe they're better than you, or you don't deserve something that you have. But at the end of the day, if people aren't talking about you, if people aren't trying to put you down, then you're probably not doing something right. So my guess is if you're that person that everybody's kind of hating on because you got some stuff going, some good things going on in your life, you're doing the right things. And so keep doing that and just they can fuck off.
Well, Ashlie, we want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about your rise to the challenge. You're inspiring so many people, and we're excited to see what the future has for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Alex. It has been such a pleasure, and I hope you have an amazing night. And thank you again for letting me share my story.